Oh man, do you hear those crickets chirping? Well, this time they're not the rees of feminists, although they could be. They're the sound of a silent audience. In this case, an audience that's not laughing. I'm generally considered a decently funny guy. I'm not super funny, I'm not the class clown, I'm just funny. Nowadays, with all this feminism, social justice, gynocentrism, worship of women, one of the major questions is, are women funny? And the answer to that, I think, is, yeah. Not yes. Nod, point your chin out, press the lips together. Yeah. I've met plenty of funny women. I've met a lot of women who are not funny. Are female comedians funny? No. No, they are fucking not. I'm going to tell you why. Now, full disclosure, I have laughed, I think, once, out loud, at a single female comedian, and that was Wanda Sykes, who was unfortunately obnoxiously politically motivated at this point in time, and therefore she is no longer funny. Have I seen every female comedian in the world? No. I think I might have laughed once or twice at Lisa Lampanelli, and she's a good example of why I laughed at her. Now, there is a trap that every single popular female comedian falls into, and I have yet to see one get out of it. All female comedian acts are about sex exclusively, the end. Very, very rarely have I ever heard a female comedian tell a single joke, and I do mean one, just fucking one, that's not about fucking a guy or the guy she's fucking. Women cannot seem to escape this topic, or at least female comedians, I should say. They cannot get away from it. All female comedians fail the Bechdel test. They're always talking about fucking a guy or the guy they're fucking. The end. The end. And I'll tell you why. Men are required to perform. Okay? Men perform for their peers. Men perform in competition. And above all else, men perform to impress women. And comedy is a huge part of that. Because let me tell you, as a guy who on the best of days is a solid 6.5, maybe can inch into like a 6.75 in a suit, I've gotten in the pants of women out of my league. I know you might not think it, dude who's finally getting his teeth fixed, balding. I have. And I did it by being very funny and fun to talk to and interesting. Women do really value that. I've discussed this before. I've never hit a 10 or a 9, maybe not even an 8, depending on whose scale you're on. But as a 6, I've hit many a 7. All right? I'll tell you that. And comedy is how you do it. Women do not perform for their peers. Women also do not perform with comedy or with words for their sexual partners. Now, of course, it is absolutely true that to form a long-lasting relationship where you're friends with and like your spouse, you need to get along. And then a lot of times in these comfortable, intimate situations is where a woman can take advantage of inside joke humor and be funny to the people who know them very intimately. To the broad observational or even topical comedy factors, women suck terribly at it because their brains aren't suited for it. The thing is, women have friends, but when it comes to performing, women are always in competition with each other. Men help each other get laid because men are not sexual selectors. Men have to win the affections of the woman, not the other way around. Women have all the control of the dating scene. Period. Evolutionarily, that is the way our species functions. It's not a sociological thing, it's an evolutionary thing. It's a biology thing. But when women are with each other in a performing state, now women can have camaraderie, but if women are to perform, and comedy is always a performance, women are always in competition with each other. So they're not always funny to each other, and they're rarely talking to each other about broader comedy. They talk in inside jokes. Okay, and inside jokes are funny to your friends. Comedy is hitting the funny bone of a nation. You have to find universal similarities, okay? And women will laugh at these, but they rarely seem to be able to do this. Why? Because when women perform, they perform sexually. So why is women's comedy always about sex? That's the only form of performance a woman knows, is wooing, or attracting suitors who woo her. So she can't help herself, but instinctually go straight to sex and fucking stay there. Now, I've laughed at Lisa Lampanelli because her act, which is 100% about sex, includes racial humor, which is funny. And that's how we've gotten to that point. She says, I'm sexually attracted exclusively to black men. I fuck black men, isn't that funny? And I fuck hot black men when I'm an ugly white woman because that's the way black men work, isn't that funny? Ha ha ha. It's true. And it's funny. And that's the reason why I've laughed at Lisa Lampanelli. And Wanda Sykes manages to branch out at least enough into interpersonal dynamics with men that is far enough removed from sex that I found it humorous and not tiresome and plagiarizing. So, Amy Schumer's not funny. Sarah Silverman is not funny. And that's why you don't see women in comedy. They cannot seem to get away from this. Now, there are female comedians who do other kinds of jokes, and they just apparently just aren't that popular, because unfortunately a lot of this gynocentrism shit means female comedians attract female audiences, sort of in the way that a lot of black comedians who focus exclusively on black topics attract black audiences. Women who talk constantly about fucking men and the men they are fucking attract women. So, but they hit roadblocks with popularity because, first of all, most of the audience for comedy is male. Okay, not by a huge majority, but it's male-centered. And if you can't get away from shit that only a woman would find funny, you're going to hit a roadblock in your popularity. Now, if there's one thing that I think that I've seen a lot of women do incredibly successfully is comedy writing. And the reason why they can do this successfully and frequently do this successfully, and I'll finish with this, is because comedy writing is not a performance. It's an art form. It's not a performance. A performance is an active interpersonal activity. Writing is not an active interpersonal activity. I know some fucking frou-frou fucking new agey writers might say, no, I'm connecting with my audience. Not in anywhere near the same way. Not in the same universe. Not in the same plane of fucking existence are you interacting with an audience in the way a comedian does. Comedy is a participatory act. This is why you can watch stand-up on TV and find it funny, but you don't laugh out loud unless it's really like a 10 out of 10 side-splitting joke. But if you were there, you would laugh a lot, because that's a crowd dynamic. It's a performance. It's acting. You know, like right there. It's interpersonal. The comedian needs the audience, and the audience needs the comedian. You can't just have a guy stand there. And then last but not least, because of feminism, actually, I shouldn't have said I was going to end with the last thing. Okay, this is women, because of feminism, cannot stop being political and selfishly political. Let me tell jokes about how I think I pay too much for tampons, and that's fucking misogyny. It's not funny, it's not true, and it's boring and obnoxious and unrelatable. And this is why late night talk show comedians are losing popularity, except for with ultra progressive asshole cunts, because they've lapsed out of actually trying to tell you jokes and basically depended on their guests to be funny, and then they sit there and lecture you politically. This is the same reason why people are fucking tired of Hollywood actors and why the NFL is losing tons of viewers. I don't watch football to be lectured to. I actually really like comedy, political comedy. But I like when the political comedy sticks to the basic rules of comedy, rather than saying, I'm not really going to have a punchline or tell a joke. I'm just going to shit talk this politician, and I'm going to count on you to laugh because you hate them as much as I do. That doesn't work. If you're not actually pointing out something that's objectively absurd to the point where somebody who likes that politician laughs, it's not funny. If you can't make a Trump supporter laugh with a joke about Trump, you're not actually funny. You're just shit-talking somebody, which is only funny to somebody who agrees with you 100% based solely on the dynamic that they agree with you 100%. And if they did not, even if they were indifferent to Trump or somebody who's kind of has mixed opinions about Trump, they're still not going to laugh. Because you're not actually saying something funny, you're just shit-talking, and shit-talking is not innately funny. It just isn't. You have, like when they're making fun of George W. Bush, they're making fun of his mannerisms. They're making fun of his inability to pronounce words like nuclear. He said nuclear is the joke, and that's not how you say it. It's nuclear. Nuclear refers to having a nucleus, like a fucking cell. So yeah, there's that. And talking about like the funny things you do, would be like, well, you don't side with us, you side with the terrorists. Now watch his golf swing, because he's giving the interview on a golf course, holding the golf club on the fucking driver's tee. That's hilarious. And you can mix in some like, holy god damn, this guy's politics are fucking bullshit, but that has to be kept to a minimum, where you focus on the shit that's objectively funny, or else you get crickets. Do you understand? And the fact that, to bring it all home, women only talk about shit that would be funny if they were sitting there with their friend. Okay? They're not actually getting, like, jokes that reach the wide audience. And that's why they're not funny, because there has to be a universality. You have to be getting at a truth, not a political truth, but an emotional, philosophical truth that's in the hearts of people, particularly if it's one they don't think about often. The reason why George Carlin was so hilarious is because he talked about the thoughts that go through a person's head at their most private moments, and he said it gregariously, aggressively, even viciously, and talked to the audience through their id, not their ego. And women can't get out of ego when it's the id that's funny, okay? The primal part of you is funny. Funny is primal, and primal is funny. Do you understand? That's the universality. We are all primal on the inside. Anyway, I didn't mean to go on about this long, but it takes a little bit of work to explain to you what funny is. And women comedians are not funny because they can't get out of the rut they're in. Now, they could, but they're never going to, like, instinctively go that way, because women can't perform like men can. They just can't. They're not designed to. Well, I mean, they can, but it is in no way natural for them. You have to subvert your natural way of being to be funny as a female comedian, because you have to reach into the id that women don't usually give a shit about, because their id is just to fucking be fucked. I'm serious. The joke is that men are that way. It's not true. Okay, men have a sex desire just like women do, but men are much more multifaceted interpersonally and in performance, and women are not. Women perform physically, not mentally, not intellectually, okay? I'm serious. And I don't mean to say women aren't intellectual. I'm saying women do not perform in that way. And the key word is fucking perform. Don't twist my words, you cunts. Thanks for watching.